Good morning, Year 8. I hope you've had a lovely week. So this is your solutions video for week 10 of Learning from Home. So just make sure it says 6 2.3 in the corner, okay? So the first question says 8/10 plus 1/10. So that's nice and easy because our denominator is already the same. So all we have to do is add the two numerators. So 8 plus 1 is 9, and then we can just put that over 10. Okay, next one then. So we've got a subtraction here. So it says 4/9 minus 3/9. Okay, so again, our denominator is the same. So we can just do the sum on the top. So 4 minus 3 is 1, and we can just put that over 9. So there's our answer there. Okay, so question 3 says 58,000 divided by 1,000. So we're going to count how many zeros we've got here. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to take those off of this one. So if I take off 1, 2, 3, I'm left with 58 as my answer there. Okay, so a really similar one here. So it says 6,650 divided by 10. So this time we've only got 1 0 on the 10, so we're just going to take 1 off there. So that leaves us with 665 as our answer. Okay, so as with previous ones, question 5 is changing something from meters to centimetres. So first of all, we need to remind ourselves how many centimetres are there in a metre? Well, there's 100 centimetres in a metre. So if I'm going from metres to centimetres, I am going to times by 100, okay, because there are 100 centimetres in there. So we're going to do 34.3 times 100. So we're going to move that decimal place forward once to get 343, and then another time to get 3,430 centimetres as our answer, okay? Next one then. So this time it says 80 millimetres equals how many centimetres, okay? So how many millimetres are there in a centimetre? Well, there are 10 millimetres in a centimetre. So to get from millimetres to centimetres, I'm going to have to divide this time by 10, okay, because that's what I want to get to. I want to get to centimetres. So I'm going to do 80, divide that by 10, because that's how many millimetres go into a centimetre, and I get 8, okay? So I know the answer is 8 centimetres for that one. Okay, so next one says, write in figures 6 units, 3/10, and 2/100. So we'll start with our 6, because that's our units. Now we can put a decimal point because we know after units we're going to end up as a decimal. Now next up it says 3/10. Well, good news, that is the next thing we want. So we can write our 3 in because that's the tenths column. And after tenths do come hundredths, and we've got 2 of those. So we know that that is 6.32. Okay, so the next one should be even easier. So it says write in figures 22,000, 3/10s, and 5 units, okay? So we'll start with our 22 because we know that's the first thing we've done. So we've got 22,000. Now after thousands come hundreds, but we don't have any hundreds, so we're going to have to write a 0 there. And then it says 3/10s. Well, 10s come after 100, so we can write 3. And then it says 5 units, and that comes next, okay? So we should have 22,035. So this question says something divided by 3 equals 3. So remember what we do. We take the answer, so the answer is 3, and then we take the operation, so what we've done, and we do the opposite. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So instead of dividing by 3, we're going to times by 3. So 3 times 3 equals 9. And then we can pop 9 where the question mark is and check whether that's right. Is 9 divided by 3? 3. Well, it is, so we'll give that a nice tick. Okay, so next one says find the missing number again. So something take away 3 equals 8. So we will take the answer, which is 8, and the operation is subtract 3. Well, we're going to do the opposite, so we're going to add 3, and that would equal 11. Now we can check if that's right. Pop 11 where my question mark is. 11 minus 3 does indeed equal 8, so we know that we're correct. Okay, next one then. So we've got 9,988, take away 1,624. So 4 from 8 is 4, 2 from 8 is 6, 6 from 9 is 3, and 1 from 9 is 8. Okay, so we should have 8,364 for that one. Now the next one's a little bit harder because we've got an extra digit, haven't we? So you just got to make sure you write it out correctly. So we've got 15,491, take away 4,214. So 4 from 1, well we can't do that, so we'll have to borrow 1 from here. So we'll make that an 8 and this a 1. So now we've got 4 from 11, we're going to get 7. 1 from 8, that's 7 as well. 2 from 4, that's 2. 4 from 5 is 1. An imaginary 0 here, so 0 from 1 is 1. So our answer should be 11,277. Okay, so some equivalent fractions. So if you remember, the word equivalent just means the same. So we've got to ask ourselves, how did we get from 3 to 21? Well, we can do that by just taking this number and dividing it by this number. So 21 divided by 3 is 7. And then you just pop your times in there, because let's check it out. So 3 times 7 does equal 21. So if I know I had to times 3 by 7 to get to 21, I've got to do the same to the bottom. So I'm going to do 7 times 7. That's a square number, so that's going to be 49. So 3 over 7 is exactly the same as 21 over 49. So this time they've given us both of the denominators. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take this number and divide it by that one. So 40 divided by 8 is 5. And then we're going to put our times in front of it, because then we can test it. Is 8 times 5 40? Well, yes it is. So now we can do the same to the top. We can do 3 times 5, and that equals 15. Okay, so now we know that 3 over 8 is the same as 15 over 40. Okay, next up, we want to know which of these numbers is bigger, okay? So what's bigger, 0 or minus 1? Well, 0 is bigger because negative numbers are always smaller, aren't they? So if you think about your number line, you would go positive 1, then 0, then minus 1. Okay, so 0 is bigger than minus 1. Next up, we've got minus 8 and we've got minus 16. So, as I always say, you've got to think about your number line, okay? And it's going to be the number that's closest to 0 that is bigger, okay? And minus 8 is closer to 0 than minus 16. So even though 16 is a bigger number than 8, when they're negative, it's the other way round, okay? So your symbol should be that way round. So next, 70 times 30. So we're going to take the first two numbers. We're going to do 7 times 3 equals 21. Okay, and then we've got 2 zeros, so we'll pop those on the end. Nice and simple, 2,100 for our answer there. So now we know how to do that one, we can have a go at the second one. So we're just going to take our first numbers there. So we've got our 5 and we've got our 8. So we can do 5 times 8. Well, we did that on question 14, so we know that 5 times 8 is 40. Then I've got 2 leftover zeros, so I can pop those in and I get 4,000. Perfect. Next one then, so it says express 13 over 6 as a mixed number. So, like we did last week, we're going to look at the bottom number, the denominator, and we're going to ask ourselves, how many times does that fit into the top number? So how many times does 6 go into 13? Well, if we do our times tables, we go 6, 12, 18. Well, we can't have 18, so we're only going to have 2. Yeah, so 2 6s are 12. Well, how many more do I need? Well, I need one more because it says 13. So I need one more sixth, okay? So the answer is 2 and 1/6. Same for this one then. So last question. So 18 fifths. So it says, how many times does 5 go into 18? So if we go 5, 10, 15, 20, so we're going to have 3. So 3 5s are 15, but I want 18. So I'm going to need 3 more of the fifths, okay? So that's our answer for the final one, 3 and 3/5. Okay, so make sure you've given yourself a mark out of 20. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and your next maths work will be set next week, I believe on Monday with the new system. Bye-bye.